Hello, ladies. I love your energy. I love it. Bring it, bring it, bring it. I am so excited to be here. This is my first time to Africa and to South Africa, so this is very exciting. I am extremely honored to be standing up here on stage with you guys and with you ladies. And I just want to say that if you would have ever told me that I would be standing on stage with a bunch of rock star boss ladies in South Africa speaking, I would have told you you were out of mind. So I just want to start out and give all glory to God. Because without God, none of this would be possible. And I look back at the years, and as I connect the dots and I look at all the blessings and all the things, I'm just so grateful for His grace and His mercy. And the next person I want to thank, because I definitely wouldn't be up here without him, is I want to thank my husband. And I'm so excited that you guys get to meet him this weekend. You get to learn from him. He's a flat-out rock star. He's great at what he does. And I know he's made a lot of sacrifices to bring our family to where we are today. And I just want you to know that I'm extremely grateful for it. We don't take anything for granted. So my name is Cindy Bolf. I live in Mustang, Oklahoma. I don't know if any of you guys have ever even heard of Oklahoma. But my background prior to WorldVentures was in real estate and also in retail management. Like Helen said, we have 2 kids. Our oldest is a daughter, and her name is Kennedy, and she is a pre-kindergarten teacher. She has a classroom of 22 4-year-olds that she teaches on a daily basis. And she has a true gift from God. She loves it. She pours into them. This is her 2nd year of teaching in the school system, and she was nominated for Teacher of the Year this year, so that's a really big deal. So I'm very proud of her. We also have a son, very big boy. He's currently in college. He's 19 years old. He's a freshman in college. He's 6'2" and weighs 250 pounds, so he's strong as an ox. And he went to college on a football scholarship. He loves it. He's doing great. His first semester, he finished with all A's and B's, so he got off to a lot better start than Jeff or I ever did in college, which is exciting. So I know that there's a lot of ladies in this room that I've never met before. I really look forward to getting to know a lot of you this weekend. And then there's some of you that are familiar with mine and Jeff's story. And it's no secret that today we do lead a really blessed life. And I just want to say that we don't take any of that for granted, because it hasn't always been that way for us. We had to work very, very hard to get where we are today. There was a lot of laughter, a lot of tears, a lot of mistakes, a lot of good times, a lot of bad times. And although I would never want to go back to some of the bad times we've been through, I'm grateful for them because they brought us where we are and made us who we are. So I met Jeff in college, and at the time, as soon as I saw him, he had that spark in his eye, and I knew he was going to do something big. He just lit up a room as soon as he walked into it. He was all heart, all passion like he is today. And when he graduated from college, at the time, I was managing a retail clothing store. And there wasn't a lot of job opportunities in the small town that we lived in. So the company asked, would you be willing to relocate? And I said, sure. So we up and moved to a new state. We moved to North Carolina. And looking back, I would say that was the beginning of mine and Jeff's financial downfall. And you have to keep in mind this was several years back, but at the time when we were living in Weatherford and going to school, we were paying $275 a month rent to live in a 3-bedroom triplex with a fenced backyard. When we up and moved to North Carolina, Jeff still hadn't found a job. My retail position didn't pay a whole lot, and we started paying $650 a month rent to live in the upstairs of a 2-story home in which the owner lived in the downstairs. So it was really interesting. She had her entrance, we had ours, and that's how it went. So looking back, like I said, that was really the beginning of when we were on the wheel. It seemed like we could just never get ahead. There was never enough money to get us from paycheck to paycheck, and I've got all kinds of crazy stories that we'll have to share some other time. But so we moved back to Oklahoma. At the time that WorldVentures came into our life, Jeff and I really had hit rock bottom. Our kids were 5 years old and 9 years old at that time. And we were living in the very first house that we had ever purchased. only we were renting that house because our finances had gotten so bad, we had lost our house to a bank. And fortunately for us, an investor had came in and purchased it and was renting it back to us. And there was never a for sale sign put in the front yard, and it wasn't something we wanted to share or talk about. So from the outside, things looked okay. Our friends and our family had no idea what we were going through, but on the inside, we were dying. We were at our lowest financial point. It didn't matter how hard we worked, we could not get ahead. Our marriage was struggling. I feel like we were failing as parents. It was, I can't even begin to tell you, we were at rock bottom. And then to top all that off, Jeff's father found out that he had stage 4 cancer, and he did not have adequate health insurance. And when somebody you love is going through something like that, it really hurts when you can't help them. So WorldVentures, I wasn't with Jeff whenever he saw it, and he jumped all in and said, yes, I'm going to do it. And when he came home and told me about it, I was less than excited. Because at the time then, it was $500 to get started. So he spent money we didn't have on something we never did. We didn't travel because we didn't have the time or the money to do it. I always thought it was for other people. We would never be able to do it. We had never done anything in network marketing. And to top that off, I had seen other people try network marketing with different companies, but I had never seen anybody have sustained success. And it was a startup company. So really what Jeff was telling me was he had just invested our money in something we had never done with a vision. We didn't have the testimonies that we have today. We didn't have the executive team in place. We didn't have the dream trips, the rewards program. So it was really a vision. And then many of you guys know Troy Brown, his business partner. Today, Troy and Kathy are some of our best friends. I consider them like a brother and a sister. They're like parents to our kids. Their son, Trig, is like a son to us. But at the time, I did not know Troy very well because Jeff and Troy had met at a different college before Jeff came to the college I was at. The only thing that I knew about Troy was when Troy came to town, Jeff was going to get really wild and stay out really late and probably do stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing. So when he tells me he's locking arms with Troy, I was like, really? So the tension, to say the least, was pretty high between us. And I'll never forget, we were driving home from a Keller Williams Christmas party. I had just made the decision to get my real estate license. And it should have been a 30-minute drive, and that drive turned into a 3-hour drive. And Helen talked about it at the beginning, but I just want you to know how important it is. For the first time in a very, very long time, Jeff and I communicated. He told me why he said yes and why he did this. He shared with me his visions and his dreams. He shared with me his disappointments and why he wanted to change them for our family. And for the first time in a long time, he listened to me. He listened to my dreams and my goals. He listened to my concerns and why I was scared. And there was a lot of laughter, a lot of tears. We just laid it all out on the line. And at the end of that talk, I didn't know if WorldVentures was going to work, but I knew Jeff needed this for Jeff and that I needed to support him. And I also knew that things were probably going to start getting a little tougher before they got better, and they did. The next thing that we had to do, and Helen talked about it, was we went home and talked to our children. And Jeff sat our kids down. They were 5 and 9 at the time. Set them down and explained to them, this is something that I'm going to do, and this is why I'm doing it. And I'm really going to have to put a lot into it in the beginning. I'm probably going to miss some of your sporting events. I'm probably going to miss some of your school functions. But I'm doing it so that there'll come a day that we don't have to miss those things anymore. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The first couple years was really, really tough. In network marketing in the beginning, just like everybody else, we were overworked and underpaid. Plus, we were so far in the hole, we were trying to dig out from it and just even stay above water. And fortunately for me, but it ended up being unfortunate at the same time, my first year in real estate was very, very successful. But it caused me, I was working about 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week. Jeff was gone building the business, and I was still trying to keep the wheels on at home with the kids. So it was a challenge, but just like everything else, if you do the right thing long enough and you don't quit and you don't persevere, the pendulum started swinging for us. And at the end of 2011, Jeff gave me the biggest gift he's ever given me. He gave me back my time freedom, and he retired me from real estate. And since that day, I've been able to live full-time as a mom and a wife doing the things that I love to do. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I spoke with my daughter, and when she was in college, she took an English composition class. And in her class, she had to write several essays. And one of the essays most of the essays, the teacher would give them the assignment that was over a specific topic that they had to write about. But this one particular essay, the teacher said, this is an open essay for you guys. You can write about anything at all, whatever your heart desires. And this was really impactful. The title on Kennedy's essay was One Decision Can Change Your Life Forever. And she wrote about WorldVentures. And she wrote about Jeff's decision, and she wrote about the sacrifices, and she wrote about how it had changed our family and the cool stuff that we were getting to do now. And it's, a lot of people get involved in network marketing because they want financial freedom. And this company gave us financial freedom. Our residual income, and you're going to hear this over and over again this weekend, a residual dollar is different than a dollar. Because of the residual income, we no longer had to live paycheck to paycheck. We were able to retire. And because of the financial freedom, it gave us the time freedom. And you cannot put a price tag on time freedom. To be able to be given the gift that I was able to be there when my kids went to school and be there when they came home from school and be there and really be present in their life is something that I could never, it's just priceless. But what's even more important, the financial freedom and the time freedom gave us back our personal freedom. This company has literally changed our life. And in the beginning, I talked about Jeff and how he had that spark whenever I met him in college. And what had happened is, over time, life happened. And we were going through so much that spark was leaving him and leaving him and leaving him and leaving him. And when we started WorldVentures, I'm telling you, you wouldn't have even recognized that man. He was so broken. And this company gave him back his spark. It gave him back his freedom again. It allowed him to be the person that he's supposed to be and do the things that God wanted him to do. So as I look back over the years, there's some important things that I've learned that I really want to share with you guys, that I feel, I don't know what your goals are or what your situation in your personal life is right now, but I got to believe that if you're sitting in this room and you're sitting in these chairs, you're wanting more. You're wanting more of something in your life. You're looking for something. So I believe to be successful in this business, there's some specific things that you may hear time and time again, but I really just want you to take them serious, so I'm going to say them again. The first thing is training. Never, ever, 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 ever miss a training, ever. And get your people to the trainings. And I know that may sound like a broken record, but I remember when I first started with Keller Williams, we went to an event, and their events were not near as exciting as WorldVentures events, but when Gary Keller told stage, he was a very wise person. And one of the things that he had said at the time was, if you want things to be right around you, you have to get things right within you. And the trainings at WorldVentures are going to help you do that. They're going to help you grow. Our trainers are phenomenal. I can tell you that when Jeff is not on stage or Troy's not on stage, we're all still in the front row taking notes and learning. I learn every time I come. So it's important to get your people there. Another thing is, don't let your why become your why not. In the beginning, the trainings were a lot more expensive than what they are now, and in order for us to go, we didn't have the RTEs. So for Jeff to go, he would have to travel, and he would be gone for 2 or 3 nights, which meant hotel, airfare. We didn't have the money, and I didn't believe in the trainings. And I remember saying, Troy's got the money, let him go to the trainings. He can tell you what they're all about. Wrong. To this day, I do not know how Jeff Bolf got the money to go to those trainings. He's very resourceful. But I do know that we would not be where we are unless we went to them. So never underestimate trainings. The next thing I want to say is don't quit. And that seems really obvious, and probably every person in this room is thinking, I'll never quit. Why would I quit? I'm never going to quit. But the stark reality is sometimes life happens. So make a decision to be here a year from now. Don't ever quit. I heard a quote the other day, and it's so true. It says that it was by Mark Cuban. It said, the test of a true entrepreneur is bouncing back when things aren't going well. And I can guarantee you that on your journey in WorldVentures and in building this business, you're going to come across some tough times. But I can promise you, if you'll persevere and get through those times, you're going to come out stronger on the other end. But you won't if you quit. So just don't ever quit. The next thing I want to say is don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Growth happens at the end of your comfort zone. Fear is a real thing. And at the beginning, whenever I walked out here, I said I was excited to be here, and that's very, very true. But I also have to tell you, I'm shaking like a leaf inside because one of my fears is speaking in front of people. So when Mark or anybody ever asks me to get in front of the room or speak on stage, I literally am paralyzed with fear. And I have to go back to what Gary Keller said. If you want things right around you, you got to get things right in you. I know how important your mindset is, and the only way through is through. And so I know God shows up best. His strength is strongest in my weakness. I surrender it to him. I promise I'll bring my best and ask humbly that he'll bring the rest, and I push through. And one thing that I can tell you is, looking back, the things that have scared me the most and the things that have been the hardest things for me to do usually end up being the things that have impacted us the most and the things that I'm the most proud of. So don't be afraid to fail. You're going to come across things that are scary. You're going to have to do things, but push through because it's totally worth it. We don't inspire others by being perfect. We inspire other people by how we handle our imperfections. So the next thing that I want to say, or the last thing, is just enjoy the ride. This is incredibly fun. Don't focus on what's wrong or what you might be doing wrong. Focus on what's right and focus on what's good. Comparison is the thief of joy. So remember that, run your race. You be you. You run your race. Don't ever let your ego get in the way, because there's going to be times when you're surrounded by others that may be pushing through the ranks a little faster, or maybe you feel like it's having success a little faster. Don't let you get that down. Put your blinders on and run your own race. And I know, too, for me, sometimes if I see somebody that's very strong in one area and it's not my strength, I start letting it get to me and dwelling on my weakness. Don't let other people's strengths be your weaknesses. Instead, stand up and recognize your own strengths and be yourself and push those forward. So the last thing I want to leave you with, and I've only got a couple more minutes, is something that impacted me greatly. It was when Marco said it was on stage, and it was the very first international convention. And you may have heard this before, but I really want you ladies to take a second and just really reflect on these 3 questions. He asked 3 questions from stage. The first question he asked was, what did your life look like 5 years ago? And I want you guys to think about what your life looks like 5 years ago. What was your career life like? What was your family life like? What was your financial life like? What was your health like? For me, it wasn't very good at the time. And then he asked, what does your life look like today? Are you happy? Does it look different than it did? Is it better? Is it worse? Are you struggling more? Or is it the same? And then the question that he got me the hardest was, what is your life going to look like if you keep doing the exact same thing you are right now 5 years from now? And that hit me hard. Do you guys like what you see? I'm going to paint a different picture for you guys. What if 5 years from now you were standing on stage financially free as a double IMD or a triple IMD? What if 5 years from now you were walking across stage to get your $1 million ring because in the 12 months previous, the company had just paid you a 7-figure income? What if 5 years from now you can look back and you can say, I've been on 83 trips. I've gotten to cross things off my bucket list that I never thought would be possible. I've swam with whale sharks. I've built bottle schools in Guatemala. I've created memories with my kids and made friends all over the world. That's priceless. So I'm telling you guys, this is your moment This is your moment. You guys deserve it. You guys can do this. So don't let, I'm so grateful that Jeff didn't come home that day and ask me permission to get in WorldVentures, because I could have talked him out of the one decision that's changed our life forever. So don't ever let anybody talk you out of what you're doing, where your dreams are, where your visions are. Stay true to it, and you guys go get it done. So thank you guys very, very much.